Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. It's a real pleasure. How are you doing at the moment?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm good. Thank you so much. We just released our second album, busy, busy times, I would say. We just finished our first ever tour. So yeah, it's good. It's good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I find that so interesting, really, because I think the perception, right, out there is that you release the album and tours are coming up, of course, but momentarily you should be able to just sit back and chill. But that never seems to be the case, is it?
Nah, it's of course around the release times, it's a lot of things to do. Which is good, which is good. I mean, now is intense times, so we need to push it, we need to go for it. But we had a midnight Zoom, everybody from the band, so that was very nice. Once it was out, we were spread out, but we Zoomed quickly and we cheered. So that was good. A little bit of celebration needs to be done.
Success achieved. It is, of course, very early days, though. It's only been out a few days. How are you finding the reaction so far from the general audience?
Good, good. I mean, always these album releases. I mean, I've seen it also with Eluveitie, as well. It's you cannot really grip them. Now you wake up and it's like, okay, the album is out now. And now, I mean, obviously we get reactions on social media, we get messages, which are very, very nice. I read many good comments, a lot of good feedback, so it's good, but it's really hard to grip.
It is one of those long-term things, ultimately. Let's come back and look at this in 6 months' time when people have, you say, had the chance to grip it, to get with it, to spend time with it, more importantly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see indeed. So I kind of want to go back a little bit here, really, specifically to the earliest point of the album creation and focusing on a vision. Did you have a vision when you first set out on this path to create this album?
No. um no, we didn't have, because so once we released our first album, we just didn't know, should we continue, where, how much time can or do we want to invest into this band. We just didn't really know what's next, and then at some point we were like, let's just write some songs, but without having this vision in mind of a full-length album, right? So we created as well, like elegy, hymn, and some of these songs that actually made it in the end on this album now. um we only started composing more with a full-length album in mind once we actually signed with Napalm, and it was clear that we will actually go for a full-length album, with a deadline and so on and so forth. So it's like, okay, now it's for real, it's happening. So then we started for maybe the last 6 songs were created with the vision in mind. Okay, we need to fill this album. Yeah, and we went to the mountains for that as well. That was really cool. Like as a band, for like a week, where we could really just concentrate on working on the songs, getting ready so we can record these last songs in the studio. The other songs were already recorded, so it's like, yeah, it's really spread out, the whole process.
So you were kind of making music, making songs, creating songs without really any clear idea of what you were going to do with them. Was this because ultimately a large section of the band's life has been in that COVID period where nothing really could happen?
Yeah, it for sure mixed up everything a little bit. I mean, I guess everybody questioned their lives and life choices and priorities, and I mean, it was a strange time overall, and of course, it was a bad timing with our first album coming out 2 months after this whole lockdown thing started for the first time. So yeah, so it was really special times, and we didn't know how to move on. Now it's much clearer, because now we get to play live. This year we will have so many concerts. I mean, we played, let's say, from the beginning of our band until end of 2023, we played 11 shows. That's it, and 2 of them were live streams. So we really didn't get to play live a lot, and now we already played 12 shows this year. So this year will be, now it feels like we're a band because we're active and we're on stage and we get to play live, so that's cool.
Yes, I have seen your gig calendar for 2024 and it is packed. I haven't seen a calendar actually for any band be that full already at this point. You're all over the world, which is simply incredible to see.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm very excited also to go to North America. I mean, we played there. I did 2 tours with Eluveitie there, so
Mm.
it's always very, very special to go there. So really looking forward to that. Yeah.
And of course, sticking with that, later in the year, you are on these shores, you are over to the UK as well.
Finally, finally.
All right, so going back to the process around this album, were you aware that you needed to kind of push what you'd done on the debut album to even grand at a more cinematic levels? Because of course you have that body of work, you have what you did there, and now you're creating songs for this, well, for what potentially will be a new album eventually.
Mm, mm. I think we didn't think about that.
Mm,
I mean, I don't know. It's just I just start writing songs and then Jonas adds the guitars however he feels. It's not like we're thinking too much like we need now this and this song and it should sound like that, but it's just kind of evolves. I don't know. I don't want to push it in that sense that it needs to be now like that, if you know what I mean. So I jam around with the piano and then something comes up and then
yeah.
whatever the others feel like will happen with the arrangement, or if I get a musical part of Jonas, I just add a melody, but I'm not thinking, oh, I should maybe more sound like this, more like this. I think then the magic is gone. Thinking too much, I think doesn't help, at least for me.
It's amazing that the flow of the album kind of works out so well, because obviously the songs are taken from different periods in time leading up to the last 6 and so on that you recorded in the mountains and so on. But obviously when it came to then creating a track list and putting them together and you're playing them one after the other and seeing how they flow, was that quite a simple process? Did that fall into place quite nicely?
Mm. Yeah, I think Jonas did a first draft and then Mark added some comments and then it was kind of that.
Mm.
It came actually quite naturally, although it's a collection, as you say as well. Exactly. Yeah, I think it's just the opener was quite clear because I mean it's such a nice opening track.
Yes.
Enter the Void, and then Elegy as a first song on it. I think it's a very good start, and the end was also, I mean, with this piano ballad, it just made sense. It's more like a bonus track or to slowly fade it out and give this intimate feeling in the end. Uh, yeah, and then everything around it just kind of made sense. So
Mm.
we're
I
lucky.
love it. I love it because it's so straightforward to degree for you, it falling into place, everything lining up nicely. You didn't have to spend weeks and weeks talking it over and challenging each other about where certain things must go and how it must sound. And then this needs to be cut out and this needs to be cut out. It all just falls into place wonderfully.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. For example, Hummingbird
Mm.
was not supposed to be on the album. I mean, obviously in the mountains we started, of course, thinking, hey, okay, maybe one more like dark track would be cool. I mean, you know, for example, and Hummingbird, like a track like Hummingbird was not in the plan, let's say. We even wanted to have one track less, but then somehow, I don't know, I just started jamming around and came up with this first more quiet piano voicey part, and I was like, guys, what do you think?
Mm.
And then Jonas took it and did this heavy part on the second half, and then it was finished in the mountains, and I think now without this track the album would not be complete, so I'm very happy that it somehow just came.
It is wonderful from my perspective to hear you describe it like that because I agree. It belongs. It would almost seem odd now to know it wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Afterwards, right? So I'm also happy we have it on. Yeah.
Overall, for you personally, what were some of the more challenging moments of the entire record creation process?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For me, I think the biggest challenge is always writing lyrics. It's really not my favorite part at all. Now we
Hmm.
changed the songwriting, the lyric writing team, let's say. So I was writing with two people outside the band for the first album that are native English speaking. And now our bass player Yannick, he's a talented lyricist. It's crazy, and so we teamed up for this one. So um, I am happy that I could give away a big part of that, because I love creating melodies and the musical skeleton of a song, but not really the text. So this is still for me the biggest challenge when coming up with stuff for songs.
What did you do? So did you kind of just bounce ideas off each other? You'd bring him, say, I've written these words, these lyrics, and I think it goes here and so on, and he would read them and either say yay or nay and vice versa, back and forth.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Every song is a little bit different, I would say. For example, the Swiss German song was completely written by him, for
Mm.
example, because I was like, I don't even want to get started writing something in Swiss German that I never did, and he is passionate about it. So I was like, go ahead, please. Here's the melody, here's the song, please. I'm more than happy. And for example, for for it was for enemy, I just knew I wanted this shun words
Mm.
in the verse, like attention or tension and all these, and I said, please, these shun words, and the chorus should be like something with how can I and how and how. And then he adds his stuff to my first feedback, and then I'm like, this vowel doesn't fit really. For example, when I need to hold a high note, I want an open vowel. I don't like oohs and e's. um and then we talk about it and see what feels natural, and it's quite
Mm.
interesting because we're quite different people. So sometimes what feels flowy for him when he sings it is for me absolutely not flowy, and the other way around. Because it's just the way, like, we both sing so differently, and it's very
Mm.
interesting because now, for example, in Fairy Tale, in the bridge, I used one phrasing the way he would do it, and I would have never come up with this. I always sang it a little bit different, and now I took it from him, and it's really cool because it would have not come for me naturally. And so this is also how I grow, so it's really cool that we can learn from each other as well. It's interesting.
It really is. It really is. And your positivity kind of shines through talking to you here. You're clearly feeling very, very good about the reflecting on the album, but also about it being out and so on. So I have to ask you then, looking back at the entire record process, what were some of your favorite moments?
Favorite moments, I mean, the time in the mountains. I mean, it's really
Hmm.
cool. There is this artist house in Switzerland. It's really cool, that is kind of made for people with a project or a band, or I don't know, it can be art like painting or whatever. Just if you're creative, you can rent this whole house um affordably. And then you can just concentrate as much as possible on this without being distracted and being surrounded by this nature. It's just perfect. Also, then having these dinners all together, and then having this I don't know, come together in the evening when everybody worked, and we can take it from there and make plans, not only with the songs, but also, I mean, there's so much more to it, having a band than just writing songs. I mean, there's all this other stuff.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so we could also work on that. It was very efficient, so that was really cool. I think was one of my favorite things. Also, I really really enjoyed recording the vocals. I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. And I think the most special thing for me was to record Verliebt in Swiss German, the last track, the ballad, because it was recorded in a one take. So I
Mm.
sang the whole song from beginning until the end 4 times, and we used the second last take. So it's just from beginning until the end without cuts. So it's like it's not that common to do that, right? Anymore. Or also maybe depends also a little bit on the genre and so on, but somehow it felt right. It was a good challenge to do that. And it is not perfect in that sense because there are no cuts, nothing, but it just is as raw as and authentic as it gets, I would say. So it makes it really intimate. Yeah.
Is that why you chose to do it that way? Because you wanted to get across that rawness and that more intimate feel?
Yeah. Well, it was, I think, Jonas and Yannick that or yeah, these two, I think, kind of suggested it, because I
Mm.
would never think, it's like, no, it needs to be perfect in that sense. And they're like, hey, but why? Let's do it. It's special. And yeah, we did it like that. And I'm very happy we did it.
Okay, carrying on then. So again, sticking to your personal point of view, and you kind of mentioned growth earlier on. Was there anything you learned about yourself across this entire record creation process that you think, okay, that really worked for me, and I'm going to continue to use that going forward?
Mm. Yes, I think using songwriting as a like catharsis, which I never really did that much, I would say. I mean, I try to be not dependent on how to say that creativity strikes me or inspiration, but I try to just be able to get out of bed. I love doing it in the morning, just when the world is still quiet, getting up and just play and see what
Hmm.
comes up with. But now for this album, I use it sometimes when I felt overwhelmed. It can be anything. I just sometimes force myself to sit on the piano and start jamming around. I mean, I just start playing chords and humming a melody, whatever, and then it's like Hummingbird was like that. I don't know, and seems to work quite good. And so if I need to get something out of the system, I think that works for me quite well, that I didn't know before this recording or songwriting of this album. So I have this one more thing in the pocket. If I need to write something, maybe I need to force myself when I feel something in real life that I need
Hmm.
to get out. Yeah.
Kind of two good big options there. You've got the external, as you say, the environment around you, but then obviously now you can look internally
Mm.
and potentially use that. Not bad. It's a great load of options to have when you need that inspiration to strike.
Exactly.
Have you found at this stage, it's still early days, but at this stage, there's a particular track on the album that you're finding people are maybe taking to more than you may have expected initially?
Hmm. What can I say? I think Hummingbird was pointed out quite often on these interviews that
Hmm.
surprised me in that way. Um, but we talked about it earlier. I think it was just without this track, the album would not be complete. And although it's not ticking the boxes for a single track, let's say, it's just it's just needed for this whole album as being as a unit, kind of. So yeah.
Almost like the last little bit of glue keeping everything together. It's a 14-track album as well. It's okay for not everything to have it be a single, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Obviously, we already mentioned the touring, the live playing, all through that and so on. For a lot of people, this will be a lot of people, the first time this year they actually get to see you perform live outside of the live streams that were done previously. So from your perspective, in so many words, what can people expect with your live experience?
I mean, all the musicians on stage, I mean, they are really, really good.
What's that?
Marc, Yannick, Miri, Jonas, it's a pleasure to play with them. So you for sure will get a wall coming. I think it's definitely one of the strengths of the guys that they're just really good. I mean, also the soloist that Jonas plays every night. Yeah. Uh, but at the same time, we also try to really have this live feeling as well, like strip it down a little bit compared to our previous shows that we played, like having less, like less is more in that sense. But the cool thing, for example, the guys are singing, or Miri as well, singing backing vocals and so on, really having this band vibe, not this fully polished production, but having this not old school, but you know what I mean, this band vibe coming as well, because we're playing, we're interacting with each other. They're singing backings and a little bit of rock and roll maybe. I don't know.
I don't think anybody would expect or even necessarily want you to be able to replicate the sound of an album in a live show. It wouldn't be possible because it wouldn't almost feel real. You could just then play a backing the tracks across the speaker if that was the case. So the idea of a raw or more rock and roll show, particularly when you do visit the UK later in the year, my city, London, the capital, you're playing the Underworld. I don't know. Are you familiar with that venue?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's a very cool venue for sound. Amazing wall if you're talking about a wall of sound. But I do worry about all of you fitting on that stage.
Oh, I see. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be
It
cozy,
is.
let's say.
It's a great venue though, and it's one of our iconic London venues.
Okay, because I played with Eluveitie, I think 3 times in London, but I think we were never in this one. No, no. I don't
I'd have
remember
to.
which one we played. Like, oh, is there like a O2 or something?
Yeah, well, yeah, but they're like the brand. We got like the O2 Academy Islington, O2 Brixton.
Ah,
There's quite a few O2s and the O2 Arena itself. So there's
no, we
quite a
didn't play
few.
arenas. I, Camden Town, maybe. Does that make sense?
Okay, what we got there? You got the electric. That's where the Underworld is. We got the Electric Ballroom, the Roundhouse. I mean, there's so many. I'd have to look back. But either way, you're doing the Underworld later in the year,
Yeah.
as well as loads more across this country, and cannot wait for that completely. Right, before you go, because I know we're right about out of time here, I just wanted to talk about your website because I was on there earlier on, playing around, looking around, and so on, and I came across the Tribe quiz. I thought that's
Yeah.
interesting. What's this? So I did it, and I got. I'm probably going to butcher the word, but Halusia.
You're Halusha. Halusha.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's rather rare, I would say.
Okay. Whose idea was that? Because I thought it fascinating, and it really made me think.
So for the first album, uh I had this story in mind and this fantasy world, so it was also concept world, and we wanted to really create this whole universe around the Illumishade, including these 5 tribes. And we thought how to make it work to communicate that we have this world, and how to interact with people, how to make people be included in the world. And the idea of this quiz came up. So um now for this album we rather didn't really touch that much, because it's more like a collection of songs. I would love to go back a little bit to this fantasy world in some ways that we created with the tribes and so on, and include it more on the third album again. It's just it is not very easy. I mean,
Of
um
course.
so I think we need to still rethink everything, how to move on with this, how it is realistic. I mean, it's also a money question and everything, like creating this whole world concept and everything. But yeah, we keep this one. We did now also a Illumi quest. Yeah. So that's also a lot of fun. I think we have some nerds in the band that love doing games and these things, so we came up with this Illumi quest thingy with all these like adventure text adventure games that we all love from childhood, right? And then why not doing that in our way and in our world? So yeah.
Yep, I did also play that too. I was on there quite a while and had a lot of fun. And well, we'll see in the future, but either way, the future is looking incredibly bright and it's very, very exciting. As we said so many times, if you want to know where you're playing live this year, just look out your window. Chances are you're gonna be in someone's country or city at some point this year. And of course, another side of you is out now and well worth checking out. Fabienne, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and then see you in London, I guess.
Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.